you don't, and also we will make the handouts available as well. A little bit about today's presentation. In this webinar, presenters will share success utilizing technology to improve students' interns' health, stamina, and independence. They will demonstrate how they created Google accounts for each intern so they have access to their own G Suites to create an email address, and Google Drive where they create resumes, letters, upload photos, create presentations, and share documents. They will also demonstrate how they utilize Google Drive to create a shared Project Search Steering Committee folder so all members can collaborate and have access to documents and resources at all times. Also, they will share how they incorporated Fitbits into daily lessons in combination with HealthMatters, the exercise and nutrition health education curriculum for people with developmental disabilities. Today's presenters are Mason Messenger. He's a Project Search instructor at the Kalahari Resort, and Dawn Daignault. She's the Director of Career Options and Opportunities, Human Resources, Inc. I will pass the presentation to them, and they will take it away.
Good morning, I guess. If there's anyone on the left.
Nathan?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Go for it. You're on.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jasmina. Good afternoon, everybody. Over here on the East Coast, Central Time Zone. If you're on the left coast, it's good morning, I guess. This is my second year as a Project Search instructor here at Kalahari in the Pocono Mountains. And something about it's my 15th year altogether in education, 13 years in the classroom. All 15 years have been in high school transition. So I have a little bit of experience with that. I'd like to add some youth to that as well. I'm not that old. Go ahead, Dawn.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dawn. I am the Director of Career Opportunities and Development at HRC, and I'm responsible for supervising the agency staff member at Kalahari for Project Search. So I'm usually up here very minimally once a month, usually more often than that, just checking in, maintaining the program. So I've had the opportunity to work with Mason for the last 2 years, and I've been in my role for about 14 years at HRC.
Okay, quick disclaimer too, we're far from pros with the technology aspect of it, and towards the end of the presentation, I'm going to have some of our interns come in as well and explain how they're using technology that I'm actually learning stuff from them day in and day out with some of the technology that we use. So they're teaching me valuable aspects every day. I'm sure some of you have to experience that yourselves at your site. Jasmina, we'll go to the first slide. Okay. Why do we incorporate technology? There's a lot of different reasons. You know, there's a technology the last 10, 15 years has really taken off. I mean, you look back 17 years ago, 18 years ago, when I was in high school, I mean, we were just getting the internet back then. It's come such a long way. It's a lot easier to network with transition team members. As Dawn pointed out, she's here maybe once a week. So to keep her in the loop, we utilize technology every day through email, you know, and we have our interns utilize that as well. Organization of materials. We're going to go over our steering committee stuff. We usually meet once a month, but we have a shared drive through Google that we all have access to, and whenever there's important events that are put on there, we share it with everybody in the steering committee, so it helps keep everyone on the same page. As we noted a little earlier, we track the interns. With the use of Fitbits, we record fitness health levels on a daily basis. Some interns already were a month in, they're like, I got to make better decisions. So rather than have that soda during lunch, you know, they're making a change and they're having water. So we see that as progress. I mean, we have interns anywhere from 18 to 20 years old of age, and sometimes it's hard to break those bad habits. But when we're going over it day in and day out, we're able to see, you know, progress in that area. It doesn't happen with every intern, but we're on our way to hopefully getting to that level. We use it for time management strategies as well, especially with our Fitbits. We'll go over that a little bit later. With our time management strategies, with some of our interns, how they're able to use their Fitbit for time management effectively. We also help monitoring intern accountability, progress throughout the year. As I just pointed out with time management skills, we track our interns like many of you do every day, and we monitor them every day for how they're doing. So there's there's 25 subdivisions. There's one part that especially marks about, completing work on time or coming in on work on time and checking out at the same time. So we're able to monitor that through the technology we use. We'll also touch base of the use of an iPad, which we use for time management strategies. We also help prepare for competitive employment opportunities, as you all do. The goal here with Project Search is hopefully getting every intern competitively employed. Slide, please, Jasmina. Okay, what we use. This presentation in the past, we had 6 Chromebooks. We did get 2 more added to us, and we share them with our interns each morning, usually during instruction, especially with the HealthMatters curriculum that we go over. Here at Kalahari, we also have a Gazette. It's a daily newspaper of important people or groups that are coming in. The Daily Promise, which is basically the statement, the daily statement for associates here at Kalahari to follow. We go over that as well. But we use technology doing that. Rather than make 8 copies for our interns each morning, we just share the Gazette by email, and they pull it up using their Chromebooks. Just a heads up on the Chromebooks. I just Google searched it. I know they're not cheap. They're about $450 for one. We received grant money through the school entity I'm associated with, so that's how we got our Chromebooks. Just sharing that with you. There is grant money out there, hopefully for a lot of you in various states, but that's how we were able to pay with our Chromebooks. We also have an iPad that we use. As I said earlier, for time management strategies, we'll go over the app that we use. There's some pros, some cons, but mostly pros for it. As I said earlier, Fitbits. We won our Fitbits at the conference last year down in Florida. We won 9 Fitbits that we use, so we sort of won those. We'll go over the pricing as far as that goes, but they are invaluable methods that we use for our interns throughout, as well as staff members too. So Kalahari was nice enough to purchase the other 4 for our interns last year, so everybody was able to have them. Okay, next page, please, Jasmine. Okay. Next part is our intern Gmail accounts. As I said, we set them up first thing when interns arrived here in August, the last week of August. We had our interns set up Gmail accounts. A couple of them had them, but the majority did not. Some of them had Hotmail accounts, which sometimes is outdated. I'm not offending anyone because I still have a Hotmail account myself. So that's set up the first week of the year, though, with Gmail. I was brand new with a Gmail account last year. I've learned a lot in that time. As I said, we're far from experts, but we're learning each day with our Gmail accounts. One of the things that we utilize, we're trying to get our interns, and as everyone else is, get our interns to the highest level of independency prior to they graduate here in June. So we have the interns, as much as they can, communicate independently with staff members. That could be their case managers, their parents, community agencies like DONS, which is HRC, who we work together with, and school district representatives as well. What we basically had them do, we have 6 employment planning meetings throughout the year, but we have our interns send out the invitations by email. It's a good way of networking, and it teaches our interns how to communicate with technology. We also, at the beginning of the year, we have the interns, once we create accounts for our interns, we have them let us know their password and their username, and we have it on record in case they forget it. So we have that stored away. in case they do come in and forget it. Knock on wood, out of our 7 interns right now, all our interns do remember their username and password. If they don't, one thing we do is we have folders for our interns, and right on the inside of the folder, we just have an index card with their username and password on their folders. They are locked up in the closet after our hour of instruction, but it's there each morning if they need it. But this year, you know, after the 2nd week, they were able to utilize their emails without that. We store interns' information in case we forgot it, as I said, but we also share login information with the parents at the end of the year. If the parents request it earlier, we give it to the parents as well. We also try to encourage parents to try to get some Gmail accounts as well, because some of the documents that we share, you sometimes might only be compatible with Gmail accounts throughout the year. Okay, next slide, please, Desmina. These are the intern Gmail account benefits. It really helps interns with their self-advocacy skills. One intern we have, sometimes he gets a little anxious. Well, one way of him doing that is him connecting back with his old teacher, and he lets his old teacher know. Plus, the old teachers really want to know the updates on how they're doing. So what better way, rather than me explain it or Dawn explain it, have the interns themselves reach and touch base with their old case managers, their old teachers, stuff like that. You know, that's teaching them the self-advocacy skills. Because when June comes around, we won't be there every day, so we're trying to, you know, display that stuff in the interns so they're able to communicate that. Also, what we do is we help the interns create resumes, share documents, as I said earlier, write letters, and we do that throughout the school year. The nice thing about the Gmail accounts, if they are working on anything, any assignments, you know, during instruction time, all that stuff is going to be saved right in their Gmail account. So once they log in to their Gmail account, you can just go down to documents. You can go down to whatever device they're using, and that stuff will save automatically. So that's nice. It's convenient because sometimes interns are like, I lost my work. I'm like, no, you didn't. It's still there. Don't worry. There's no save button, which is weird, especially when I first started using it. I'm like, it didn't save. Yes, it did. So that's the nice thing about using Gmail. Okay, next slide, Jasmina. Okay, here's an example of what we use. It's a template that we use. Some of our interns are, you know, might be lower functioning, so we always have the templates used. This is just an example of it. This is an example of the first IEP meeting. We always have our IEP meetings the 1st or 2nd week of October, so they were just done last week. But we have the interns take that and hopefully to become more independent, but we have them email the people listed. We have them email everything, and this is the template that we use. So, you know, some interns by the end of the year are independent with doing that, and they're like, I can do it myself. But that's great. That's what it's all about. Some interns, of course, with functioning levels, they might even need a template throughout the year, which is okay too. But this keeps everyone on the same page. It also cuts down on phone time, so we're actually spending it out what's really important with the interns at their job sites and not on the phone every day to see if everyone can make the meetings. Of course, we have to do that sometimes, especially when we don't hear a response, but it saves a lot of time in doing so. Jasmina, can you pull up the template for the IEP meeting? For the tabs? Okay. This is what we usually use at our employment planning meetings. I think it's 3 or 4 pages of fun, but we have the interns complete this themselves. And rather than have me talk for 40 minutes, you know, this is where we put the ball in the interns' court. This was a copy that I got actually from, you know, the site that we all utilize, so I use it pretty often throughout the year with each internship. The interns talk about their strengths, their weaknesses, and it's a self-assessment. We go over what we scale, myself and the 2 job trainers I work with, but this is the way they're able to scale it. I noticed from the beginning of the year, some of the interns give themselves all 5. Well, after one meeting, sometimes even before the meeting, when we're going over our evaluation sheets, you know, by the end of the year, the majority of the interns evaluate them pretty close to the way my skills trainers and myself evaluate them, which is great because they're able to see what they can work on a whole lot clearer after, you know, after a couple months, a couple weeks on the job, what they need help with.
The interns also, by the second employment planning meeting, will be leading their own meeting. So generally, Mason leads the first one, which is the IEP meeting, to kind of get the ball rolling and show them what the process is like. And most of the time, the interns are a little bit hesitant to lead their own meeting, but once they use this template, they're a little bit more comfortable because it's right in front of them. They can go down and step-by-step review how they're doing in their rotation.
Yeah, and by April, by May, they're like, I don't know if I need the template anymore. I'm like, well, if you want to talk about your site and stuff like that, I still have them write everything down and record it just so we have the hard copy and we can go over it. But a lot of times they're independent and they're able to explain everything that they need to work on, if it's an issue or not an issue. So it's always good to have, and I have my interns do complete it. But by the end of the year, they're able to talk about their placement, what they want to do moving forward without it. And that shows a great level of becoming more independent.
It also really helps keep the emphasis on employment. We ran into a few struggles with that last year with parents not necessarily being on the same page. So talking, you know, from the first meeting about employment and having the intern every time talk about what their goal is and what type of job they're looking for, which may change, has been really, really helpful.
Okay. Okay.
Next slide, please.
Next slide, please. Okay. This is what our interns created in Google Drive. They created, updated their resumes throughout the year. The nice thing is, as I said, they're able to update all the time. They don't have to go into like a Microsoft Word product and try to find it through there. All they would have to do is, in their Google Drive, they would have to go to the document section, type in resume, and up it comes. So we update the resumes throughout the year. We just had our interns do yesterday morning. It's their 5th week on the job, so they have a good idea of exactly what their job duties require. They also do go into writing thank you letters, resignation letters 2 weeks prior to the internship ending. Also, at the end of the year graduation, they create a presentation throughout their internships that they're able to share it during our graduation ceremony here at Kalahari. We also upload photos throughout the year as well of the interns working throughout the year, and they're able to see the progress and display the progress to their friends, families, school district LEAs, whoever attends the graduation ceremony. Jasmine, can you pull up the resume that I sent you yesterday?
And some of the other things with that presentation that they give at graduation, for those of you who attended the conference here at Kalahari in July, you may have noticed our interns were out in the convention center lobby area. They were showing off the presentations that they gave at graduation to conference attendees.
Here's just an example of a resume. We did start the resumes the first or second week the interns were here. As I said, we've been here about 7 or 8 weeks altogether right now, but this is an example of one of the interns' resumes. It started out pretty basic, not a whole lot of job experiences, but if you scroll down a little bit, you can actually see what our interns do in the first internship. Whole lot of jobs. He did this entirely on his own, but there's his job duties. And he also put down his second internship. That's what he's wishing to go into. Hopefully he's able to. He goes, I'd like to work in the laundry. I said, well, that's great that you have that goal, which is awesome. But I said, do you know your job duties yet? He goes, no, not exactly. I said, all right. So he did put that in there. So as you can see, his resume, just from 5 weeks in, it's quite extensive already of his job duties. There wasn't a whole lot of, for this individual intern, there wasn't a whole lot of experience, but, you know, that's what it's all about, and he's gaining a lot of experience here at Kalahari. Okay, thank you, Jasmina. Okay, we also talked about the shared drive. This helps everyone. You can go to the next slide too, Jasmina. Thank you. Okay, the shared drive. This is what we talked about too. It keeps everybody on the same page. You know, it's invaluable because we work with a lot of different agencies, a lot of different school districts here. Also with some of the Kalahari workers as well, managers and stuff like that. They're invited to this page too because they're our host business. But it helps keep everyone on the same page. Like I said, we have 16 different folders or subdivisions. I'm just going to talk about a couple. We have the agendas, calendar and timelines, our class list of our interns, as well as our curriculum. Our curriculum from the HealthMatters unit is basically listed in here. The IU that I work for, my supervisor has a secretary, and they uploaded all basically all the activities from the book, and I actually have that right in the folder. So I'm able to go into the individual lessons, click on the lesson that I want to do, and I'm able to print it out. So that's invaluable too. Rather than make copies from the book of the activities, I'm able to just go into the shared drive, pull up the activity I want, print it out, and I'm able to disperse it among the interns for an activity, for whatever we're doing for that hour of instruction. So that's invaluable. I also, for as far as curriculum, soft skills, we focus on that a whole lot. I know probably everyone can attest. There's some interns that maybe have some social behaviors, communication behaviors. So I always, there's a curriculum there that I follow. It's the 101 social skills. I don't have the link available to that, but it's socialskillscentral.com, and it's /free, and another /101 ways to teach children social skills. It's a PDF file, but I'm able to print whatever I really need to work on. As I said, it's 101 social skills with soft skills intertwined. So it's a very valuable lesson, but I have that in the curriculum as well.
From the steering committee perspective, I have a lot of times I get calls from, we have it called OVR, it's Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. I know it's different, called different things in different states, and mental health developmental services, as well as the schools. I would say at least 2 to 3 times a week, they're reaching out to me asking for information on one of their students or their clients. And instead of, calling Mason or bothering, my staff member that's here, I can go right into the shared drive and see the latest information. And generally what they're looking for is what their progress is on the rotation, how they're coming along with that, what tasks they're doing, what areas their strengths and weaknesses, what they're struggling with, and kind of any areas of concern, all of which are in the shared drive that I can access in seconds, rather than sending a text or calling over here when I'm not here on site. So it's really invaluable.
Mm-hmm. It's also invaluable too, like Dawn just pointed out, we have a progress monitoring section right in there. So, if OVR, like Dawn said, has a question for payments, so our agency that we work with gets paid, they can pull up the progress monitoring, the data of that intern. So it's invaluable from a keeping everyone on the same page perspective.
We have a unique payment point system for the agency to get paid for the skills trainers services. So we need to notify OVR at different increments where the intern is at, such as the date that they start the program, the date they're enrolled, the date they actually attend the first session, the date that they start their first rotation, what it's in and what they do, and then subsequent rotations and also placement and 90 days successful time on the job. So all of those increments are in our shared drive. It's an easy way to track it, and we can just click on it to open it to see where they're at.
Okay. Next slide, please. Thanks, Jasmina. This is using the computer during our hour of instruction. We do have our interns use the computer. Like I said, we go over the Kalahari Gazette. It goes over percentages on how full the resort's going to be, as well as any important information that our interns need to know by department. Many of our interns do use public transportation. Probably some of your interns do as well. but during that time they can cancel their transportation. If they have a work-based learning experience after the program hours here at Project SEARCH, they can actually cancel the transportation right online. Maybe a little help, maybe a template from us, but we can work on that as well. Sometimes following up, YouTube videos. Yesterday I had a little issue trying to get our slide presentation to a PDF version. One of my interns at lunch actually goes to me, why don't you just YouTube it? And I did. It was so much easier. You know, like I said, I learned a lot from them every day on that aspect. So we also use YouTube videos to enhance the lessons that we do. As I said earlier, the self-evaluations that we have our interns, they're going to be doing them for the last 5 meetings on how they're doing. We shared that earlier and went over it. Also towards the end here, when the interns are looking for jobs, we fill out online applications as well. This could be at Kalahari, which is strictly online applications, as well as other places in the community.
We have a handout for the employment planning meeting, kind of to go over. We do have 2 of our interns who came in to join us so they can share some of their experiences. We have Matthew Daignault, if you want to say hello.
Okay.
Hello. Hi.
Okay. Yeah, Matthew, we didn't get to your part yet, but since our work day is almost over, we figured we'd get these guys in a little bit. So Matthew's going to explain what he uses his phone for as far as using our time station app. You want to explain, Matthew?
Yeah, so I use my phone for, I actually cut in and out on, so I don't keep having to using the iPad to do it. I just do it on my phone.
Yeah, and Matthew works indoor maintenance here, so his lunch hours sometimes vary depending on who he's working with that day. So Matthew put it upon himself. We usually have our interns clock in and out using the iPad. Matthew goes, well, there's an app for this. Why don't I just download the app? So he downloaded the app, and when the people who he's working with clock out, he clocks out on his phone. So, and clocks in when he's like after lunch. So he's doing it all on his own. There's a way of, as staff members, we're able to monitor, make sure he's clocking in and out, and he is doing that. So that's a valuable lesson. We didn't get to that part yet during the presentation, but he's doing that all on his own, which is great. Thanks, Matt. Okay. And we also have Daignault here. Daignault, he's working in the food prep department. And Daignault, with using the iPad, I'll let you explain, Daignault, what we've been working on since the beginning of the year.
Okay, so since the beginning of the year, Mason has been recording us with different videos of us working. So I just thought, well, why don't we create an iMovie so that when we graduate, we can show it to our family and our friends who come and some of the people who work here who also like to come, and you could set up also like an interview kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what we're working for our graduation project already. You know, and we're trying to market all our interns and the great things that they're doing here. And Daignault goes, well, we can do that with an iMovie for each intern, and then show it for graduation that we have in June. So we've been doing that. We've been asking questions using the iPad, and we're going to put that all together for an iMovie for each intern is our goal. So that's, I know it's not totally set with the curriculum, which we're doing as far as Health Matters, but we're just utilizing technology the best ways we can to advocate for the program and advocate for each intern. So, all right, guys, you want to say bye to everybody?
Bye. Goodbye.
All right, very good job. You guys got only a couple minutes for work yet, right? And you're done. All right. Good job, guys. See you probably tomorrow morning, okay? Okay.
You can go to the next slide, Jasmina. Thank you. So during the classroom instruction, Mason can take over teaching me 2 lessons a week from the curriculum.
Okay. Yeah, our goal here is to go over to touch base on 2 lessons a week with the HealthMatters during classroom instruction time. And we do have a HealthMatters timeline that I did hand out if you want to go to that, Jasmina. And this is a way of, right here is what it is, 37 lessons broken down into 5 units. It just goes over the lesson. On the right-hand corner, it's a note of adaptation, sort of keep a running record of one thing that I'm doing this year is trying to monitor exactly what I'm doing for each lesson. Little notes help a little bit, so I try to keep that. If something doesn't work, like good nutrition, I noticed the mypyramid.com website wasn't working. I just put a little note there, so it saves time a little bit. Just a little side note. Other ideas maybe I might not have done this year, but I'm still trying to leave notes for extension activities. So these interns can, for this group or next year's group, something I can do for an extension activity for each intern. We use computers to enhance the lessons, like I said, with YouTube videos. Because you know what, it draws them in. Rather than have me talk for an hour, you guys are probably getting tired of me here. But no, we always try to enhance each lesson as well for our interns. And one way of doing that is watching videos. Some mornings I would send them the link to a video so they can pull it up right in their email and they can watch, they can view the video that I want them to see right through the link that I send. Just another example of what I do. We have lessons and handout. As I said earlier, it's uploaded on our Google Drive with the curriculum. And we also use data collected for the interns' Fitbits. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jasmina.
Can I have the next slide, please?
Okay. On to some of the technology that we use. We do have 2 different types of Fitbits here. The first one is what we have, excuse me, the Fitbit Flex. We have 4 of those. There's pros and cons to both of them. Obviously, the Fitbit Flex is a lot cheaper. The only negative about that, it doesn't really give time the activity level throughout the day. It does have a durable design, but we do have to take the battery out, as you can see from the picture on the top left-hand corner. You have to take the battery out and charge it. With that said, when you take the battery out, sometimes the straps get worn and get a little bent up and sort of broke a little bit. So the bands don't totally last. And it also is more difficult to get a charge. I don't have a picture here, but we have a 10-prong charger that we use for our Fitbits each day. The interns use the iPad when they first come in the morning, and they sync their Fitbits. They have to sync it basically because they're not able to get their data until they sync it with the Fitbit.com website. If that might not make sense to you, but if you have the Fitbits, you'll be able to learn about that as far as syncing goes. You can sync it to your phone, so if you have an iPhone or a phone, you can have the app and sync it with that, but some of our interns don't have that. Some of them do, but some of them don't. So you would have to have an iPad to sync that with the Fitbits. The second type is what we have 9 of, is the Fitbit Ultra. More expensive, but it displays a lot more. It displays the time, the steps you've taken for that day, distance you traveled, the calories burned, and active minutes. So that's all on it. You would just tap twice. You get the time, tap 2 more times, the amount you traveled. I walked 11,000 steps today.
That's all?
That's it, because I'm here at the webinar. So if I wasn't, I'd probably be around 13,000 or 14,000. So it's much easier to charge as well, and the low battery level indicator is marked as well. So that really helps with our, the Fitbit Ultas. For the price, for the price, I would definitely say the Ulta. I know it's $40 usually more, but it would be, valuable. Also check in maybe, funding might be a little tougher, but maybe check into possible grant money. I don't know if it would, utilize maybe the HealthMatters curriculum and say, hey, it's part of our curriculum. why not purchase a couple? I do have the interns hand them in at the end of each day. So when 3 o'clock rolls around here, you know, the interns clock out using the iPad, and then they hand in their Fitbits right away. When students come in, like I said, they sync. When they sync their Fitbits on the iPad, they're able to see if the battery level is low. And all they do is they charge it into our master charger for that hour, hour and a half of classroom instruction. Then it's good for a couple days before they need to charge. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, tracking progress. As I said, the Fitbit with the iPad, I went on to that. Once they sync, we usually pass the iPad right around to the next intern, and then they go log on to Fitbit.com, enter their Gmail account with their password. I also have them have the same password as well as their Gmail account, so it's easier for these guys to remember. We also have a recording sheet that we have the interns do. We do that on a weekly basis, but they come in each day and they do that on their own. They're able to record their exercise activity data from the previous day after they sync. One thing that we did add later in the year last year to tie into our HealthMatters curriculum, recording food and water intake. They're able to all do that using their Chromebooks. They write down the food and they're able to enter that data right into the Fitbit website. And they're able to calorie count if they really want to calorie count and watch what they're putting into their body. So they're able to do that as well. When completed, the interns share as a group and we have a discussion. I had a soda today for lunch, and I'll explain that to the interns yesterday. I eat lunch with the interns, so I had a Coke. I didn't want to do it. I said I wasn't going to do it, and one of the interns, Daignault, goes, "No, don't drink that." I said, "Too late, Daignault, I got it." So I make bad choices too, and some of the interns do it too, you know, and they acknowledge that, and we go over what's a healthier alternative. Some days I take the healthier alternative, and some days I can see that rub off on the interns as well. So we're able to advocate what the interns are putting in to their body and tie it all into the choices they're making with the HealthMatters curriculum. Okay, next slide, please, Jessica. Okay, and here's our sample Fitbit recording sheet that we have. This is from the end of the year last year. Basically, I just changed the date, print a copy out, and make 7 copies for our interns to use. You can see once they sync it, they're able to get their steps, calories burned, miles traveled, and active minutes. Obviously, that just accounts for the 7 hours the interns are here, because we keep the Fitbits here day in and day out, but also the food intake. It sometimes enhances the memory of our interns. For instance, what did I eat for dinner last night? Sometimes it's a struggle. But breakfast they're able to put down because they just ate breakfast before they came in each morning. But sometimes lunch and dinner might be a little tougher. Snacks. These guys might have a good week, so I do spoil them once in a while. Piece of candy or something like that. Not good, and they understand that. Some interns actually declined it, so that's great. So we monitor all that stuff. When they do go on the Fitbit.com, they're able to enter all the food that they put in. So they type it in, something will come up, and they're able to count the calories that they put in. Okay, next slide, Jasmina. Okay, here's our Fitbit evaluation after 1 year. It tracks the intern's interest levels, a whole lot. I'm surprised. Some of them, yeah, might not be totally interested, but the majority of them, they really watch what they put into their body, and they're able to track goals. Obviously, when they're working, walking around, they can't walk around just to get 10,000 steps for the day. They need to focus on the job first, which we stress throughout the year. But it adds responsibility for them. Hey, my Fitbit level's low, I need to charge up. So they're able to monitor themselves rather than us monitoring for them. As I said, time management strategies. One of our interns has issues with time management. I don't know if she'll ever get it. So at the IEP meeting last week, I said, well, one of the things we can do with our Fitbit is we can set timers for the Fitbit So we go to Fitbit.com, enter the student's data, and lunch is over at 12:25, so we can put in a timer right on Fitbit, and it will go off Monday through Friday at 12:25. So that's one way we're able to utilize that. Cons, sometimes it syncs with cell phone and iPad. You can't use the Chromebooks to sync. Obviously, it can get pricey, and interns had them back at the end of the day, as I said earlier. One of the things that I did talk about with the parents last meeting, these are loaners, one-year loaners, so I said they're going to need that watch or a Fitbit if the parents want to spend that money on a Fitbit, because they would need a watch for time management strategy. Next slide, please. Okay. This is what I said, our TimeStation app. This was downloaded using our iPad. Right there's the website, it's mystation.com. We create a username and password for a staff member. What I did was I enter all the interns into the system. I give them a 4-digit PIN. At Kalahari, each worker has a 6-digit PIN. Last year I did give time cards. That is an option. You can give time cards out, print them out. I had them laminate them, but a lot of times it didn't get picked up using the iPad. So this year I just gave them a 4-digit PIN, and that seems to be working much better. But you can have both options.
And when you create this, the staff creates this, you can have up to 10 interns on one account. So that's just something to keep in mind on one device when we usually have 2 iPads that we'll utilize depending on how many interns we have at the time.
So if you have a full caseload, you'll need another device.
We also practice this occasionally with some interns, especially if they need help with time management over the summer, sometimes after hours for their work-based learning experiences. And then after Project Search is over, we continue learning this. We are running a little bit out of time, so we're going to move quickly to the next slide with just some pros and cons on using the TimeStation app. It is free, which is great. They learn the concept of clocking in and out. We have had some trouble, as Mason was talking about, the cards getting damaged or lost, so we have found that the pins tend to work the best. They do have name badges, so a lot of times we'll write the pin behind their name badge. They can, if they forget it, they can quickly look, and they actually use that at Kalahari once they get hired as well. And all of those things are usually pretty helpful in making sure that they can punch in and out timely.
Okay, next slide, please. Thanks, Jasmina. Hoping for a smooth transition. We're not going to be there, come May, June, when the interns graduate. So what we did use the Google Drive. We created a cheat sheet for each intern on important information, shared ride information, public transportation, getting to and from the workplace, Gmail username and password, contact information if they do get hired in the department. So if you can pull that up real quick, Jasmina, what we did create. And there we go. This is one of our interns that graduated last year. This intern got hired here. So they have a 6-digit ID number. That stuff's all there. Work schedule, if you want to slide down a little bit. Transportation is all right there. Just something that we utilize that, we give a hard copy to, but it's very valuable to have, so they can just pull the email up. You lose that piece of paper, pull the email up, pull the document up, have Makai in this case pull it right up, and all the information is right there. Okay, next slide please, Jasmina. Okay, all right, and there's our contact information. Now we'll open it up to you for any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Mason and Dawn. This was very informative and very interesting. We will take some questions now through the question and answer box. So feel free to put them in. While we're waiting, I did have a couple of my own. For those of you, for those people who are not familiar with Project Search, what is the age of interns?
What we have here in our program, interns right now from 17 to 21 years. You're in state or school until you're 21 years. What we want to do is basically anyone in their last year of high school is in our, is eligible for our program. So they will graduate in June. This is their school for a year.
Okay, thank you. And then do you follow the interns after they become employed?
That's where HRC comes in. So we have a skills trainer, her name is Jennifer, who is here every day with the interns along with Mason and another skills trainer. So she gets to know them really well, helps with the placements, and then once June rolls around, hopefully all of them are already placed. If not, she's actively working in trying to find them jobs either at Kalahari or in the community. With HRC, we are the agency, the community rehabilitation partner, so we receive funding to follow along with all of the interns who are then graduates, usually for a period of 90 days minimally. That is a state requirement basically through OBR. We do also have follow along through MHDS, which is Mental Health Developmental Services, and in most cases that can last up to a year, occasionally longer if needed, but that is where our role comes in.
Thanks, Dawn. Okay, we have a couple of questions from the audience. How much is the HealthMatters curriculum?
We
actually answer that. Did you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Project Search sites received HealthMatters curriculum for free. If you go to Amazon, it's about $54 per curriculum. But for the Project Search sites, I think they would, I don't know, was there a talk of having another round of and being able to hand out more curriculum?
I have not personally heard on that. I'm sure
that.
Erin would be a contact person to check in with.
Yeah, I would contact your state contact person. I will also share the website where you can order the curriculum. All right, the next question is, did interns have to have a basic computer literacy level? Did you do any inventory of smartphone, tablets, or desktops that the interns might have personally?
Yeah, we usually screen that, all that level, their functioning levels, prior to them being accepted in the Project Search program. There usually needs to be some level of literacy using computer skills. Some jobs maybe not. Like I said earlier, some interns are going to need, templates throughout the year to follow. Some, we might have had an intern last year, he can't read, but he can type stuff using a template.
Thanks. Another question, do you have any experience using the Fitbit with wheelchair users?
No, personally, no, I do not. I'm trying to think. With the Fitbit, without a wrist or anything like that, it still records traveling.
Yes, I can also attest to that. Yeah, I think we've used it with wheelchair users, and you can use it. It's still recording the movement. Exactly, Mason.
Okay.
Any other questions? Here's another one. Do Chromebooks have features you need that other notebooks do not have?
You know what? From my experience using the Chromebooks, you need other notebooks. You know what? The Chromebooks, they've been very good using the Gmail, everything associated with Gmail that we use here. So I would think everything that we did need, they've been very valuable. Obviously, they're not like not like an Apple product or anything like that, but then you're paying so much more for it. For the price, Chromebooks do have a lot of features that I do like. It's very user-friendly, I would say. You know, it doesn't have any of the, you know, maybe not all of great Apple's features, but then you're paying a whole lot more money for that, if that makes any sense. But in everything that we utilize here, the Chromebook has been great.
Thanks. Any other questions? Okay, while we're waiting, I have another question. How have parents responded to technology?
It's funny because we send out the emails and stuff like that. Some parents are really right on top of it. But then we have one parent that she goes, I said, do you know about the IEP meeting coming up? And she goes, no. I said, well, it's coming up in like 2 weeks, and I had to call this parent by phone. And I said, did you check your email? She goes, I don't check my emails very much. And I said, all right. I said, no worries. So, well, she goes, I'm trying to get into the digital age, but I'm not there yet. So that's one parent where, obviously I'm going to send home the IEP or employment planning meeting invite, as well as follow up with a phone call if I don't hear back. But for the most part, the parents are very responsive through texting or anything like that, because we're moving throughout the day here at Kalahari. So we don't have a set classroom here. So our classroom in an hour, the hour that we do have, it doubles as a training room for potential hires here at Kalahari. So it's a lot easier either calling by phone or by texting. In emails, a lot of our parents are very responsive, though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we had another family that had a situation with not knowing how to use the email. Warren's father last year. Yep. Also, what happens after Project Search ends is our follow-along services. We actually help teach the father how to log into his email account, because not only were the students used to using that, but also Kalahari was sending his schedule and updates and meetings and information through email too. So that was another step that we had to take.
And one other thing too, piggybacking sort of on that, we have a lot of interns that take shared ride, as I pointed out earlier. Last year, I was making the phone calls a lot of times, and when we get up there at 3:20, where's the bus at for this intern? We're starting to utilize having the interns do that this year, because come June, I won't be there every day. The skills trainers won't be there every day. So now we have the interns call, memorize their passenger ID number, and find out what bus they're on. So that's a work in progress, but we're having the interns utilize technology as well. Some are more advanced than others, of course.
A question about if most of the interns have smartphones.
There is a question. Did most of the interns have smartphones?
Yeah, there's a couple of interns that do actually have phones. Yeah, majority of our interns do have, I see, at least 5. I'm just thinking in my head. I think 6 out of the 7 do. All 7 may, actually. But I've only really seen 6 out of the 7. So a lot of them do, and a lot of them are very tech savvy.
Okay. Are your interns paid or unpaid?
Our interns are unpaid.
Okay.
Several of them doing, actually all but one right now, is doing a work-based learning experience, which is basically a paid internship for a period of 90 hours that is funded by the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, and an HRC employment specialist will take them out for those experiences. And for that, they are paid a stipend of $10.20 an hour.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Please put them in the question and answer box. One other question is, how do you think the integration of technology and health has impacted interns' employability? Obviously, it's an opinion.
I would think healthier choices, maybe 18 years old, but let's take a look at 5, 10 years down the road. We're not all going to be there making these interns. So, we're trying to, look at the point of maintaining a healthy lifestyle, making choices, food choices that are going to benefit the interns you know, rather than hamper their ability, you know, down the road. So it might not be immediate, but it might, you know, it might be down the road.
I'd actually like to answer the next question. The smartphones ever being a distraction with Facebook, texting, and Kalahari has a rule that every employee is not allowed to have a cell phone out on the floor except during break times. And we did run into a couple of barriers with some interns on Facebook and texting. I had one former graduate last week, actually, who was sitting watching YouTube videos down in the break room, and his bus was coming at 2 o'clock, and it was 1:58. And he was still downstairs watching his video. So occasionally it is a distraction, but they generally will leave it in their lockers so it doesn't interfere with any of their rotations.
Thank you. And another question, what do you do for the interns that don't have a smartphone but need to use time clock app?
That's where we have the iPad to come in place. So we have the iPad. Obviously, they're clocking out in 3 minutes, so I will be clocking them out today since we're up here. I probably won't see them, but we always have the iPad available for them to clock out. So, you know, 12 o'clock rolls around and we're eating lunch. I'm always down there with the iPad. They clock out for lunch. They clock in back in at 12:25. So they use the iPad that we have. You know, it's a classroom iPad that they use to clock in and out.
Thank you. And then another question, do you have a wish list in moving forward with the program?
I was very concerned about everything at the beginning of the year last year, how we had all this technology, how we were going to utilize it. No, my wishes are, well, I don't need anything else as far as technology goes. There's nothing on the immediate wish list.
Thanks. Going back to the time clock app, do the interns come back to the classroom to use the iPad?
Yes, they do. Like for lunch, we meet at the employee cafeteria, and then at 3 o'clock when the interns are done, we either go into the training lab where they clock out, and they hand back in their Fitbits, their name badges, all that other fun stuff where we keep it, you know, for the next day. But yeah, we always have a meeting place, and we always explain where we'll be, whether it will be in the training lab or whether if there's a training in the training lab, we'll just meet outside the training lab in the employee cafeteria. So we do have that destined meeting place.
Thank you. Please let us know if there are any other questions. I wanted to thank again Dawn and Mason. This was very exciting, and there's so many questions coming through that people were engaged, and hopefully you've enjoyed the presentation. Again, the presentation was recorded. We will make the PowerPoint and the transcript available after today. So we will also email you when that's up and available. I also wanted to remind you that we have 2 more presentations coming in this series, and they're going to be happening in on January 18th, 2018, and February 15th, 2018. We will send out the registration information, et cetera. We're taking a break a little bit for the holidays. Thank you again for everyone, and we will conclude with have a happy holiday season that's coming up and great day today. Thank you so much, Dawn and Mason.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.